Alright. So, I wanted to make this video real quick because it was something that was kind of on my mind. I was just thinking about, I was watching just a normal JoJo meme video, and they were making a joke about, Jotaro saves Joseph, but Josuke can't save his grandpa. And I can't lie. I really love those. And also the ones with Giorno and Bucciarati. I love them. I think they're great. However, it reminded me that a lot of people see that as a genuine plot point and a genuine issue. And the issue that I have with that is that it makes no sense that people see it as a genuine flaw, like a genuine plot hole. Because it's not. You have to remember a few things about it. And I'm going to go step by step. And I'm going to try and do it medically and scientifically and also use JoJo lore. So, first thing is Joseph was not dead when he got stabbed by Dio with the knife. Because if he was, we would have seen his soul sooner. That would have happened way earlier. But another thing you need to remember about it is where he got hit. He got hit right here. Now, for those of you who may not be very knowledgeable at all or not familiar with it, because I'm not that familiar with it, I just know a little bit about human anatomy. This area right here is mainly just airways. The arteries are around here and here, which it makes sense that Dio didn't actually aim for those areas because he did still want to get Joseph's blood. I think that Dio, from the beginning, had that as a failsafe. In case something happens, I have Joseph's blood. I'll be able to harvest it in case it takes a long time for me to get rid of Jotaro. Now, he has been hit in the airway. And there are a few things you need to remember here. The first thing is, the second, or within that time frame, as pretty much as soon as Joseph got hit, the Speedwagon Foundation was already on their way. Because somehow, because it's the Speedwagon Foundation, they would know that something had happened. They would know that something had happened to Joseph. Whether that be from them doing surveillance, whether that be they have some sort of monitor on Joseph, something like that. They would know if something had happened to Joseph. So they would have immediately have dispatched him, someone to get Joseph, because they wanted to get him out of there and try and save him. Second thing to remember, Joseph is a Hamon master. He has years and years of experience with training his breathing to be able to use it as efficiently as possible, especially not moving and just trying to stay conscious. I think he lost consciousness, but subconsciously, I think he was still using his Hamon breathing to preserve the oxygen he had. Another thing you need to remember is a lot of the Dio and Jotaro fight takes place in stopped time. Now, a big part to remember in that is that it's been established that everything in the entire universe is affected by Dio's time stop. It doesn't work the same way for King Crimson, but for things that stop or reverse time, like Bites the Dust or the world, they are affected. Everything is affected by time stop. Because there's no desync of time. Everywhere is in the same amount of time. King Crimson is the only one that it doesn't apply, because King Crimson still works in normal time. But whatever. So, a good portion of the Dio and Jotaro fight is in stopped time. A very large portion. I'd say that maybe there's a total of 7 minutes that are clearly not in time stop, Dio taunting Jotaro, trying to figure out if he's dead, things like that. I'd say that there's maybe 6 to 7 minutes that are outside of stop time. Then, when they finally get to Joseph, his soul does show up. And that's a big problem. However, there are a few things we need to remember. Joseph is a stand user, for one. And clearly, stand users have shown time and time again that they have the resolve necessary to come back even after they've been fatally wounded, like Okuyasu and Bucciarati. It's happened multiple times, so there's no reason that it can't happen again with Joseph, especially a Joestar. And Dio said that he sucked him dry, right? But I don't think that's quite true. I think that was more of a taunt. I think Dio's smart enough to know that he wouldn't get any substantial enough use from Joseph to literally suck him dry. And besides, if he had actually sucked him dry, the way that human anatomy works, he wouldn't look the way that he did. He wouldn't look just like someone who was completely dehydrated, and had been dehydrating themselves for a muscular scene in a movie. All of his muscles would look like beef jerky. They would all be shriveled up, and it would basically be just bones. His brain would be completely shriveled up. It would just look completely different than the way that it did. Now, that could also just be the way that Araki decided to draw that. But I'm trying to make sense of something, so I'm going to go off of what makes sense. So, I would say that maybe there's a good 1 to 2 liters left of blood within Joseph. Now, at this point, I'd say that Joseph is effectively dying. Literally dying, because he's lost so much blood. But a thing you need to remember about blood loss itself isn't what's killing someone. It is the fact that there is not enough oxygen or blood flow to keep the heart moving, which in turn is not keeping the brain moving, because there's not enough oxygen. In all reality, the only thing that matters is oxygen going to the brain. And that's the only thing that's truly necessary for someone to be alive. Now, the next thing. People say, well, why is it that he was able to come back? Because at this point, it's pretty established that maybe he wasn't dead before, but he's dead now. I don't think that's entirely true. His soul, his spirit, I think that it was trying to communicate with Jotaro, because Joseph believed he was dying. He still had that resolve. He still wanted to help. And so when he had that opportunity, he still came back. Just like Bucciarati did, except he wasn't fated to die. So he was able to keep going. But the next major thing is pretty much every single scene, except for a few seconds, maybe 1 to 2 minutes, I would say, at the most. After that point where Joseph had his blood drawn from Dio, most of it was in time stop, with Dio gloating, with a road roller, with Jotaro stopping time. Pretty much everything from that point on was within time stop. And again, nothing moves in time stop, including someone's spirit. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that there were only 1 to 2 minutes since Joseph had been sucked out that he was actively suffocating. Now, something to remember, the brain goes unconscious after 30 seconds. But it takes 3 minutes for someone to go completely brain dead from a lack of oxygen. For someone to completely die, it takes about 3 minutes. And remember, this is still a hormone user. So, it's only been about 1 to 2 minutes. The Speedwagon Foundation has probably already arrived and picked up Joseph. They then go find Jotaro, which is not that hard to do. Jotaro has Dio's body. They have him in there. And pretty much right after, they do the blood transfusion. So I'd say, from the time that Joseph got sucked all of his blood to the point where they did the blood transfusion from Dio's body, I'd say that was maybe about just a bit short of 3 minutes. So was he about to die? Absolutely. And that would have made sense for his brain waves to be completely dead. They were non-detectable by an EKG on an ambulance at that point, even from the Speedwagon Foundation, because this was still in the 80s. They would have maybe the technology of an ambulance in the 2000s. But still, not enough to detect all those brain waves that would still be going on in the last few seconds of death. So, Joseph is brought back essentially from a stroke. And how is it that he's so cognizant is maybe a better question. But that's just Joseph. Which actually kind of explains why he acts the way he does in part 4. Anyway, that's just a theory I had. Sorry if this was all jittery and something. I just wanted to share this. So, if you have any thoughts, leave a comment or say something, leave it a like, maybe subscribe. I'll think about doing more of these if I get inspiration to do more. Just let me know. So, thanks so much, and you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.